You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always is my good friend
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And we're missing AK Mike today. He had an appointment for our scheduled podcast. But the good news is we last week, or the last podcast, we put out a little interest. You know, we wanted to hear from our listeners. And Bernard Adderley, he reached out to us along with a few others. And he asked specifically about charging stations for the portable charging stations, and he basically says that he would love to hear more about portable stations, what kind of size, that kind of thing, and if anybody had an experience with it. And luckily for us, we have had in our stretch of many years of flying, we have had the opportunity to burn up a car battery or two. At least in my experience. So
I've ruined a couple.
Yeah.
More specifically, my camper battery.
There you go. So what we want to do really quick is we want to kind of break it into three different types. First of all, let me tell you what we normally use. So Jay and I both use a portable gas generator. I have one that you can just get at Costco. It's a Furman, I think is what they call it. It's a 2,000 watt. Because I run 40 watts of power on my battery station because I have an actual battery box, and that battery box can charge up to 8 6-cell batteries all simultaneously. So,
be specific though. You're charging 5,000.
No, 8.
Milliamp.
I'm charging 8 5,000 milliamp batteries,
8.
And because
5,000 milliamp
because
batteries.
my power supply will actually foot both of my my chargers, because I have dual chargers. Both my chargers can do 4 each, and I have a big enough power supply that it will do 5,000 milliamps. I only charge them about 20 amps. I push 20 amps through them, so that's basically 5 amps each, which turns out to be like 1C. So I can push, through, but I can actually go up to 40 amps per charger
and
do a total of 80 amps. And I have. Yes, I have. Now, I will tell you that
them what, like 20 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. I can get a pretty quick charge out of them, but they're cooking. It's a fast charge, and I'm doing it at a full 40 amps. I don't do that very often, but on once or twice, I did push it a little harder than I should have.
Yeah, I mean that's very cool that it can do that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it tends to shorten the life of the batteries.
Yeah, you don't want to shove all that energy in there, but they've been performing really well, and I haven't had too many problems with them. Now, having said all that, the 2,000 watt generator is not. I mean, when I push 20, let's just say 40 amps, because I do it at 20, 25, somewhere around there, 20 amps each. So I'm doing all 8. That generator's working. I mean, you can hear the RPMs are revved up, and it's pushing really hard. So I'm probably on the limit of what my generator can do, not on the limit of what the charging case can do. So you have to kind of start, in my eyes, you have to start with the battery that you're charging and work yourself backwards. So we're going to try and do that for you today. And in this particular case, I built, it's a custom built battery charging case. It has 2 40 amp chargers in it, and then it has a power supply that's like 1,500 watts. It's a massive power supply. Actually, I think it's 2,500 watts. Whatever it was the biggest one I could fit in there. If I'd have to cut a hole in the side to fit anything bigger in there. It literally takes up the whole bottom, of the case. It's very heat, sensitive. So I have, fans in there that keep the heat, pushing through when I'm charging big batteries. But if I'm charging a 6,000 milliamp battery, I need something that's going to be able to push, 20 amps or at least 5 amps per battery. So if I was only charging one, I would need at least something that produced 5 amps to charge it, or 1C for that big of a battery. Now, those batteries, don't ask me how I know this, but if I walked over to my pickup truck, which I took to the field one day and opened the hood and said, I'll just use my alligator clips from my charger, stick them on the battery, and charge up to 5,000 milliamp batteries off of a 24-volt battery, and it only took me about 2 charges, which would have been the equivalent of 4 batteries, and my battery was dead. And unfortunately, I was the last guy out, so that was it. I literally had to call the wife and have her come, bring the jumper cables and everything up. So.
And she was happy. She was happy to do it.
Yeah. Let me tell you what that looked like. So having said all of that, so far, the portable wise, my generator is not really that heavy, but I can literally shove it on, put it in my trailer. It's quiet. It's very similar to a Honda 3000. That's a couple of guys out in the field have that, and that's kind of what we use. So that, having said that, and having charged 5,000 milliamp batteries, the lower the milliamp battery you go, the more energy you can extract out of either a battery or a solar panel. So I think you had something similar to your camper battery or something that you set up like that.
Yeah. So when I kind of started doing stuff, we would have these fun flies. So I would show up at the fun fly, and I'd bring 6 or 8, relatively not good size batteries. I wasn't flying 5,000 6-cell batteries at the time. I was just flying 3-cell, 1,300 to about 2,200 to maybe 3,000s, 3,200, something like that, in what I was doing, and maybe some 4 cells was like the biggest thing that I had. But I had a big, massive truck size battery,
like a marine battery. Yeah.
So you've seen them, like a marine battery, but they're really large, so it's like 2 or 3 times the size of a normal car battery.
Right.
And I'm like, oh boy, this will last a long time. I should have no problems. And it kind of did. Now, the good part was now I have gone out to the field and gone flying and charged off my car battery. And after a few 2200s recharging them, and all of a sudden the car's please start. Yeah. I've had to do the same call. Honey, can you come down here and jump me or something like that? So I was like, oh man, this thing's going to last all day. It's going to be great. And once again, the big thing you got to remember, a battery is exactly what it is. It's a battery holding a limited amount of energy.
Correct.
And the hard part is figuring out how much energy you have in that battery, and then you have to figure out how much can you safely take out of it. So if you're building a power bank, you can figure out, like I said, your capacity. And then you just have to go, well, all right, I'm at the field. I'm going to fly for, I'm going to be out here for an hour. So I can charge my 2200s maybe 3 or 4 times, while I'm flying, and I can comfortably bring back my battery. Now it's discharged maybe to 75%,
right?
And then therefore you put it on the trickle charger the next day or 2, or hook it up to your solar cells or whatever energy source that you have to recharge it with, and it can slowly recharge that battery back up. No harm, no foul. The problem gets to be you're having a good time. Next thing you know, you're out there for 2 hours, you're still charging, and then you get that, lead battery down below, 20%.
Right.
And once again, now lead batteries do a little bit better being abused, running it down to 0 than something, than your RC battery. But once again, you don't want to do that. You want to, take care of your batteries and stuff. Like I said, once I kind of figured that out, and then I said, okay, if I'm going to be flying my bigger batteries, okay, I can fly them, 3 times, or I can fly them 2 times. Or if I'm just doing, everything I'm flying is using a 3-cell 1,300 milliamp battery or 1,000 milliamp battery. Well, I can just fly. I don't have to worry about it. I can just keep flying all day.
Right.
It's just one of those things of knowing the capacity of your batteries compared to what the size of the battery that you bring out.
Yeah, Bernard actually
that's the hard
said
part for most people to figure out.
Right, and Bernard actually said in his message to us that he was looking to do something with a 6-cell, and that maybe he could buy a trailer and put like a charging station in his trailer. I will tell you that my trailer has an electrical hookup to it, so it's powered. I don't use it very often because I just plug into my generator, but it does have a what they call a shore power, which allows me to take a generator or electricity, plug it into the actual trailer, and then kind of feed that electricity through the trailer so it can run the lights, and there's little wires for battery charger, 110 outlet, that kind of thing. So I can charge all that, or I can power that and run stuff off of that. Having a battery bank to do it, though, about the maximum amount of batteries I could put on my trailer, and it's a 12-foot by 8-foot by 12-foot trailer, is about 3. So the tongue, if I put it in on the outside with a solar panel, I could put 3 batteries in there, and really not very big ones, maybe 3 12 volts. And I'll tell you that if my wattage on my generator is 2,000, and I'm stressing it out, if I've got 2,000 watts of battery power, I'm probably only going to get one charge for those 8 batteries, basically. Now, if I was charging, one cell batteries, if you're flying UMX all day, I can tell you, Bernard, you're going to have plenty of juice. But as soon as you start draining these 5,000 milliamps, that's a lot of amperage that you're pulling out of your battery. And I actually, when he sent me this information, I actually was looking up some of the solar station, because when we were at the Arizona Electric Festival, we had a solar station. We had like a full-on, I think it was a 5,000 watt generator or something, or battery bank that would the solar panels opened up, and it looked like a big space station. But it would open up. We would feed all the sunlight in there, and it would basically run the electrical system. The lights were on, everything was powered. That was a huge system. I mean, the guy told us that it was probably $40,000 system or more. I don't know what he bought it for. It's probably really low.
Tell the listeners and viewers what happened to that system.
Yeah, evidently the company that made them, the guy got arrested for not what did he call it? It's like a Ponzi scheme or something. He built a couple of these trailers and then took a bunch of money, millions and millions of dollars to build a whole bunch, and then just ran off with the money. So, however,
folks, it sounded cool, it looked cool, but we sucked it dry.
We did. As a matter of fact, the guy that brought it out,
short time,
he was like, "Dude, you are going to have power for years," And I jumped on there with mine, and I hooked up the 8 batteries, and I think another guy hooked up about 8 batteries, and just between the two of us, man, the lights dimmed, and the guy came running back there and was like, "Oh my gosh!" And we had to start the diesel generator to keep everybody flowing because it was just draining so fast. Now, once we got off of it,
just was not working.
Yeah, once we got off of it, everybody charging little batteries. If they had a 2,200 milliamp or 1,300 milliamp or something, it was fine. They were able to run that generator fine. But it was at its max.
Sort of, dude. Don't forget, the amount of flyers that were out there. I think that we had 90 people were flying on the field that day. Mm-hmm. And so with everybody's chargers hooked up to it, it still was getting sucked down and bogged down. It just couldn't cope. Now, if it was you just had that thing for your own personal use,
oh yeah, that would have been perfect.
Probably would have been okay. But you spent $40,000 as opposed to
$200 and it had
$500 for a generator.
How many batteries did he say it had? I want to say it had like 12.
I don't know. It
was like an entire trailer full of batteries, and then they actually converted. So the solar went into a converter. And anyway, I was looking up some solar stations, and the biggest solar station I found was about 500 watts. And 500 watts is enough to run your phone, your radio, your camping gear, that kind of thing for maybe half a day or a day. But 500 watts is not 2,000 or 2,500 watts. So, so once again, honestly, Bernard, I think the best option is the gas generator. And my gas generator, if I'm running it hard, will run about 8.5 hours. And I've been out the field that long.
And the big thing for Yeah, and the big thing for the between the generators. So Mike has the more higher end, it's quieter generator. I kind of had the low end. It's called the Sportsman. I think I got it at Target. You know, it was less than $200 or $160. I think I got it on sale. It puts out about the same power as Mike's, but it's, let's say, a little louder.
Yeah, you don't want to be standing next to it.
So you just and I think your generator is good for electronic equipment. You know,
that's correct.
So that it can go. You know, you can run electronics off of it. Mine, not so much, but it works at least for supplying power to the not transformer, the
battery charger.
What's the thing not the battery charger? What's the thing we have between the battery charger and the charger, the inverter? The
the
power supply. The power supply. Yeah. So that, I plug the power supply and it's able to, it doesn't care so much for the large sine wave as opposed to the nice sine wave for electronics.
Yeah, mine will actually charge like cell phones, and it'll charge, because it's got like a 5 amp charger on it or 2 amp charger that you can put. But those are the big things that you got to worry about. And honestly, if you're charging 6 cell batteries like I do, I just can't talk. I can't say enough about my little generator. Now, my friend Barry, he also has one. His is a win. He bought his at Home Depot. We paid about the same amount. These little generators, I think if you bought a Honda generator, you would run somewhere around $1,000 or so, maybe. And I think I got mine for $250, and you said you got yours for less than $200. So they are out there. You can find them on sale. There's several places.
Or you can buy them used.
Yeah, buying them used. I was looking for one. They're not really difficult to operate. You change the oil every, 100 hours or whatever on them if you wanted to, or just keep the oil in there. And you just don't want to turn them upside down.
Pretty much mine's one pull.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, mine's. Yep.
It just now if it sits for a while, the one thing on mine is that it has a bunch of off buttons, right? You turn the gas off, you turn the electricity off, you turn everything off. If you leave all that going and you leave the gas on, you will flood it. And I think we did that to yours too. Didn't yours have? And we had a problem with it.
I mean, the biggest, not problem, the biggest thing you have to really worry about those things are, or if you want to keep them going, right? So like it's the off season that usually does them in.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you, okay, so the key to those things are you have your little petcock valve, that you can let the fuel in and out. And the key to this is that, okay, it's the end of the day, you're about to stop. Just don't, hit the kill switch and kill your generator.
Right.
Kill your petcock, switch, turn it to the off position, and just let all the gas that's in your carburetor get used up and kill it that way. And the key to that is that if you don't go flying for like the next 3 months, something comes up and you don't fly. Well, now you have all the gas that's out of there.
Right.
And so when you come back 3 or 4 months later and you open that petcock up and the fuel goes back in there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to start up on the first pull.
Right.
Because now it doesn't have all that gas sitting in there. It's not getting gooey. It's not doing any weird stuff. It's not dissolving your, what's that little valve that flaps up and down, whatever.
The diaphragm.
But anyway, the diaphragm, yeah. By not,
or the float,
having the
float
gas
valve
in there,
is what you're looking for. The float valve.
The float valve and the diaphragm thing, usually it's because of ethanol gas. You can't have that. You're not supposed to use that, but people do anyway.
Right.
That will, by just doing that one thing, you'll get 9 times the use out of problems out of having problems with your generator by doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
By draining the fuel out. Yep.
I will tell you that at my club we do have a solar charging station. Obviously in Arizona we have I don't know what you call that thing. It's a roof over all the tables, and anyway, it has a bunch of solar panels up there, and those solar panels come down into a solar box, and then that it's an inverter, and then the solar panels actually charge the batteries. So we have a bank of batteries. I think there's 6 car batteries there. And there's probably, I want to say, 4 big, huge solar panels. So, I mean, we get sunlight all the time. And most of the time, the guys will run over there and charge batteries, and they can do it on a solar panel right at the field. so they don't really need to spark it up. Barry and I tried to do our 5,000 milliamps on the solar, and we only got, I think one of us got at 80%. The other guy that hooked up a second and a half after him got, a lot less. If you were just by yourself and you plugged it in and nobody else was using it, you could probably get 1 or 2 charges out of the 5,000 milliamp before you burned up the batteries. But even with a bank of like 5 or 6 battery, large size batteries, it's 5,000 milliamps takes a lot of power.
Yeah,
So.
it does. It's that big. What's the scale of economics, I guess, or return? Because
diminishing
like you said,
returns.
If you're just doing diminishing returns, I guess. But if you had, like I said, you go over 2,200 milliamp battery, standard.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Out of that 5,000 6-cell, you could recharge. If you were using that to recharge your 2,200, you could recharge it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's true.
If you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're just charging those batteries, yeah, you could build or you could put together or build a power station. Or like I said, if you're flying something even smaller, like I said, 1,300 or 1,000 milliamp batteries, dude, you could, with a relatively 1 or 2 batteries, you could build something that fits in your trailer that you could recharge when you get home. Or if you want to stick a solar cell up on your roof to recharge the battery, whenever. You could put together something for around $200 that's silent and can keep up with your flying. But once again, you have to really think about what you're flying and how, what you want to put together. Because like you said, you can't take that system and then, hey, come over here and fly, some 6-cell blah, blah, blah with my EDF. You're going to be sadly disappointed. You're going to be like, yeah, I got big batteries. I can keep up. Yeah, a couple of batteries in. You're like, wow, what do you mean everything's dead?
Right. Well, and I will tell you that I have, on the top of your trailer, if you put 1 or 2 solar panels, they're not going to be large enough to produce enough electricity to run, things all day long. They may be able to run your radio all day, or you may be able to run a light, LED light or something, but
right.
The amount you could put 4 or 5 of them. Your trailer's not going to be that big, so you'd only be able to put maybe a 4-foot panel. You don't want them to rip off. You've got to, mount them somehow to the roof, and then you have to come into some larger battery bank. Which, like I said, in my particular case, I could put 3 batteries on the front on the tongue portion of it, but then I would have to put some more inside, and the width of that would only take about 3 or 4 batteries, or I would have to make the whole floor a battery. When you think about electric cars, everybody's talking about right now, they charge very similar batteries, right? Lithium-ion batteries, and if you just plugged it into a regular outlet, the amount of batteries that you have, it takes all day to do it. Yeah, you have to charge it at 240 volts to get even a decent charge where you can do it in a smaller amount of time. And then, then they got these fast chargers, which is like mine, where you can dump, 50 amps at a time in there, and it's not really good for it, but, it'll do the job if you need to get somewhere right away, or if you need to, charge it up for a little bit, so you can get to the next charger that's going to do it at a little bit better pace. But unfortunately, you got 2 options there, Bernard. You can get the generator, solar pack, if you're going to fly smaller ones, or you can just buy more batteries. That's what I wound up doing.
Yeah, right. That's the other way. That's the other way around, it, right? So the $200 that you're spending, for the generator, you could go ahead and buy $200 worth of 6-cell batteries, and and when you use those up, you're done for the day. So
right,
that's a good way to think about it, I guess.
Well, and I did that, right? I mean, I fly EDFs. You get 3 minutes, and then I had one 6-cell battery and had to wait, 20 minutes for it to charge. And I thought this was ridiculous. I mean, you fly for 3 minutes, wait 20 minutes. It's almost like going to Disneyland, right? I mean, you're standing in line for 3 hours for a 30-second ride.
Whee!
And then you're back in line for 2.5 hours. So I guess it would have been about the same as an amusement park. But I was like, you know what? That's not going to work for me. And what I did is I just budgeted, $150 a month, and I just put it aside. And I said, okay, every month I'm going to buy 1 battery. And surprise, surprise, at the end of the year I had 12 6L batteries, and I got some of them on sale. I looked around, and they some of them came in pairs, and I just happened to, find enough that I have two, my A10 takes two batteries, and my L39 takes a single, so all the other ones take single 6Ls. But now I'm to the point where I can, I'd go out there and I'd be able to fly at least 12 different times. So now if you took that, it's at least an hour's worth of flying, where before it was 3 minutes and then wait all day, and then thanks to some of the guys in the field, we were able to kind of see what the options were for building a battery case. And honestly, Bernard, if you don't have one of those, that may be where I would spend my money, is in a battery charger case, because now you can build a power supply, everything that I can just scoop that up. And when I go out to the field at the electric festival, or if I go out to Jay's or wherever and I have this, everybody that's got batteries comes down to me. I mean, I literally have a line of people that are like, hey, man, can I charge my batteries on your charger? Because I have two of them, and I can charge, multiple batteries at a time. And so if everybody has 3,300 milliamp batteries, I gather everybody up, stick them on there. I can charge about 6 of those all at once, and everybody's flying again, 20 minutes later. So, but you got to have a big power supply. And if you're interested in that, we can talk about that. I've got some plans, and, can kind of tell you what's in mind. But other than that, I don't really know. If I'll tell you what, if you're a listener and you have a solution for a portable battery charging station, and whether it's solar or generator version, or whether you have one on your trailer, please shoot us an email at theparkfirepodcast@gmail.com, or jump on our Facebook listeners group at Park Flyer Podcast Listeners Group off of Facebook, and post something there. I know Bernard's
put a picture up of your rig up there.
Send us what you have. I'll post a picture of my my battery case, and that'll kind of hopefully generate some of that. Bernard, we want to appreciate you reaching out to us. It was a great topic, and I'm sure there's way more we can discuss. I jumped on there after you sent me that note and looked at some formulas, and they were well over my head. So we'll have to get an electrical engineer to come in here, or some calculus student to kind of give us all of the.
Well, the stuff that you really need to know is not super. It's not super complex. But yeah,
big battery, small battery. You can't charge the big battery with a small battery. That's just common sense. But the formula behind it, it's going to figure out. The formula behind it is about this long, so it's long as my arm. But anyway, we appreciate you reaching out to us and giving us that topic. We'd love to hear from our listeners, and we have a couple more guys that have asked questions. Bernard was the first one out of the gate, so we're going to address his right away. But jump on the website, or jump on our Facebook listeners group, and let's start a discussion on what you see out there. Shoot us some pictures or some ideas, and we'll try to pass those along. So, wow, that's crazy.
Yep. Time's almost.
I know.
Oh, and one last thing for Bernard, going with the generator route. If you got to pass it past, Mama. If there's an emergency or the power goes out,
this is true.
We got a generator.
This is true.
You can crank up and still, watch television or keep the lights on or keep the fridge going. That's another side benefit of having that kind of a system. So,
yeah, that is true.
A little help there.
That is true. And then let's see. I think our field actually got if you're worried about going to a field and flying, sometimes you can get donations for the solar, and that's what we did. We actually put a donation idea together, and some guys donated some money, and a couple of guys said, oh, yeah, we want a solar charging station. And I know that there's several other guys. I think the guys down in San Antonio have one as well. They have a package there that they do. But they can only do small, 1 or 2 at a time.
Right.
So. All right. Well, our time is up with our new format. We're going to try and keep them to 30 minutes so that you can just kind of do a quick listen and then give us a shout. And that gives everybody, the ability to reach out to us and kind of give us ideas. Got a couple more episodes coming up here in the near future. We've had some people reach out to us, and we're excited about, touching base with them. So stick around with us. I'm Michael from Arizona.
And I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.